To discuss that further, we're joined by Hania Tariq Khan, geopolitical analyst who's joining us live from Qom, and Farshid Bagherian, political analyst joining us from Karaj in Iran. Thank you very much to both of you. Let's begin with our guest from Qom. It was interesting to see that the Europeans are citing non-compliance with the JCPOA for keeping those sanctions. This is while Iran waited for a year after the U.S. pulled out of the JCPOA before it started its remedial action.
Yes, well, we can see now that actually the European countries have proven again they do not have any independent foreign policy. They have never completely implemented the deal. And even when in 2018, when the United States illegally withdrew from the deal, they have failed to offer any kind of solution. They failed many times to find a way to restore the deal. And Iran, on the other side, have always been available to find a solution which would not undermine, of course, the rights of the Iranian people. And in fact, Iran has never blocked the road to diplomacy. Efforts have been made by Iran to fulfill the national interest by achieving, of course, a balanced agreement. However, as I said, the European countries, they do not have an independent foreign policy. If they want to reach an agreement, they must not repeat the mistakes of the past. And it was a couple of days ago that the Iranian foreign minister, Hossein Amir Abdollahian, has expressed the Islamic Republic's readiness to negotiate last year's draft agreement to restore the nuclear deal. However, it seems that the European countries do not want this to happen. From one side, they keep saying that they want the deal to be restored, but from the other side, they do not implement the minimum needed since they have not withdrawn from the deal, as we know. But they expect Iran to do so. And also, they have also put pressure with false allegations against Iran, for example, about managing how Iran has managed the riots in the last year, or, for example, false allegation about Iran selling to Russia drones for the war in Ukraine. But Iran has always stated that Iran is against war. So this behavior of the European countries does not help to find a solution and to restore the nuclear deal.
It definitely doesn't. So, Mr. Bagherian, in your opinion, what path is Europe taking, considering the fact that the steps Iran took after 1 year after the U.S. pulled out of the nuclear deal were also mentioned as part of the deal? So those were foreseen measures. How come they're saying that Iran is not complying?
You know, thank you very much for your invite. Any agreement, international agreement, means the principle of sincerity. We call it as pacta sunt servanda. It means that any part of any agreement has to be sincere and faithful to the matters or items of the agreement. The European power right now is preventing to stepping on the snapback or triggering the last moment. This is what they call it the dispute resolution mechanism, because they want to prevent before the 18th of October, because they call it the transition day, as you know. They prevent Iran to be free or to be penetrate to the defense product market. And they are preventing Iran for this stepping, according to the other guest's opinion. I believe they are all true that America is up with pressing. It put all this pressure to the European to put them to the situation to issue such these resolutions. And this is not resolution. This is the negligence of the law and principles of sincerity. It means that we can consider the dualism of behavior against Iran. From one, they consider Iran as an Islamic state or the political Islamic state power in the region. And the second is the Ukraine war. And right now, they are not accepting Iran as a power, arm or maybe a strategic ally to Russia. This is the fact. They are preventing Iran to help any kind of assist to Russia. For this reason, they are doing dualism in their behavior against Iran. And Europe has no power to be against the, United States pressure on this issue. Yeah.
It's interesting, Mr. Bagherian, that you should mention that, because the other question I'd like to ask, and let's bring in Ms. Tarikian to respond to this question, is the fact that the JCPOA, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, is supposed to be a nuclear deal. It has nothing to do with Iran's missile program. How and when did this become an issue? Because all the questions were about Iran's peaceful nuclear program. Why did the missile program come into the mix?
Well, of course, as you know, the missile program of Iran is actually, it has a deterrent reason. So it is one of the way Iran can provide a defensive defense itself, because of course Iran has not any kind of interest in the military nuclear program, as the supreme leader many times said, and so Iran needs to have a deterrent program which is based on the missile program. And for the Western countries, it is important to weaken Iran from this point of view, so Iran it becomes like other countries, like Iraq, like Afghanistan, like, so it becomes more easier to create problems and issues for Iran. A weakened Iran is something Western countries want, but actually many things now are changing. We know even the sanctions itself nowadays, in this new multipolar order that we are facing nowadays, the sanctions in this new multipolar order, they have not the effect they had in the past. So any efforts that West is making to weaken the new powers like Iran, like Russia, like China, by weakening these countries or by imposing sanctions, actually will not have any kind of effect. It will be just to the disadvantage of those who impose the sanctions. Nowadays, we are seeing in European countries imposing sanctions against Russia, but these sanctions are just, they have just a negative consequences in the European economy. So any kind of pressure and sanctions nowadays from the Western countries, they don't have the same effect they had in the past.
You're absolutely right, Ms. Tarikian, but let's also add to that the fact that the Islamic Republic of Iran has the experience of an 8-year imposed war, where practically the entire world was supporting Saddam Hussein in that war against Iran, and Iran was left alone to fight that unjust and imposed war. This is where Iran learned the lesson that it needs to stand on its own 2 feet when it comes to defending its territory, and that is basically the reason why time and again Iranian officials and leader of Iran's Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Khamenei himself, have mentioned that the missile program is a red line. This is not put up for negotiation. So, Mr. Bagherian, why do you think the Europeans are insisting, despite the terrible experience that Iran has had, having to rely on other countries for weapons during the 8-year Iraqi-imposed war? Why are they insisting that Iran stop this program?
You know, in the JCPOA, all what I was opposed from the first day because of the foundation philosophy of it. It was all imposing on Iran regarding the progress of Iran, especially in the defense product industry. So if you can see this in the JCPOA, there's 3 parts. One is arms and ammunition. Second part is missile up to 300 kilometers. And the third part is nuclear without any end, a 3-part. So this transition day is referring to the second part of the JCPOA, I mean the missile. Now Iran reaching to produce a missile with a 2,000 kilometers, a ballistic missile. And this cannot be accepted by any power out of this region. Because, for example, if you see nowadays the joining of the president of the North Korea with Mr. Putin, and they are threatening the war against the Europe because of energy and a clash of any kind of the matter, especially social matters. Iran is now allied to the Russia, and this is not acceptable for them. For this reason, they are trying to stopping any progress in this kind of products against Iran. It is not only the nuclear power. This is, we are talking about the missiles, the defense product, and any system. Because after that, Iran supposed to be penetrated to the other market, not only Russia, maybe Africa, maybe East Asia. So they are thinking that the metaphysics of the Europe is right now is Iran beside the Islamic State, label as the another label, and they are joining together, and this join is very harmful for their life or maybe their future. Yeah, this is for your second question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Farshid Bagherian, political analyst, joining us live from Karaj in Iran, and also Ms. Haniye Tarkian, geopolitical analyst from Qom. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and views with us on this edition of the News Review.
Welcome.
And with that, we come to the end of this edition of the News Review. Thank you for watching.